Alright, so this is going to be another movie review. This one's called Zontar, Thing from Venus, which is a cheapo Larry Buchanan remake television version of It Conquered the World, which should have been renamed It Conquered a Very Little Small Town. And I made a mistake on my last, my second to last video on the Octagon. I got one user on YouTube mixed up with another guy. um, what was it? It was here. Yeah, so I got. I just want to make that correction. Sorry about that. Shinobi Vendetta was actually the name of the person who wanted me to review the Octagon. When he started rattling off all this stuff, Fantastic Planet he mentioned, and then I got him mixed up with Psycho Challenges, because Psycho Challenges also mentioned Fantastic Planet. But he did recommend a bunch of sci-fi movies. Earth versus the Flying Saucers I used to have on Laserdisc. Day There's Still, War of the Worlds, which I have not seen. It Came from Outer Space, which I saw on the big screen in 3D back in the 80s. The Thing from Another World I have not seen. I have it in my I already have it in my Netflix queue. I think it was colorized at one point. The Monolith Monsters I couldn't find anywhere. The Blob, I've seen Blobbermouth and the Blob remake. I haven't seen the original without the Blobbermouth idiotic commentary. A 4D Man, Creature from the Black Lagoon, which I saw in 3D on the big screen. So, yeah, sorry for confusing Shibuti Vendetta with the guy who was in my chat room yesterday, Psycho Challenges. The guy who was talking about the acid eaters. I'm starting to get my YouTube fans confused. I thought Adrian was some other user who goes by username of I'm trying to remember. Got all these comments on my channel this year. NASA Genre Cult. I got Adrian mixed up with him. Anyway, it gets an even lower rating than It Conquered the World. Even though the monster looks less ridiculous, it's still pretty ridiculous. One of those so bad that it's good type movies. Instead of Peter Graves and Lee Van Cleef, you got John Agar versus Tony Huston in this one. It's pretty much the same storyline. I mean, they just recycled the same script and made it into a television movie with different actors. Would have been 12 years later. So gets a really low 3.2 out of 10 on IMDb. Only 865 ratings of Voyage to the Prehistoric Planet. Got a similar kind of low rating. Gets a 3.8 out of 10. I forgot to mention that in my last video. 1,400. So it's a little bit better known. And the funny thing is, Zontar is Larry Buchanan's best known movie, I think. So just wanted to throw that in there. But getting back to Zontar, so John Agar is some kind of a lead scientist. He's like an astronomer or something, like Carl Sagan, working at the military facility, working with some kind of satellite. And Zontar uses a satellite as a kind of transportation to Earth, and he ends up in the cavern where there's a hot spring that's supposed to imitate Venus wet condition, which is kind of hard to believe. Again, as I said in Voyage to a Prehistoric Planet, Venus has temperature of 900 degrees, which is basically molten rock. I don't think anything could live there now, although it may have there may have actually been life there at some point millions of years ago. No living thing could survive in that kind of heat. But that doesn't stop Larry Buchanan or AIP or Roger Corman from believing that there's life on Venus. Of course, this is before the man landed on the moon. So Zontar uses his John Agar's $50 million satellite for a transportation to Earth, where he lands in the cavern next to the hot springs, and all the while he's communicating with the Lee Van Cleef character, who's now being replaced by Tony Huston, who was in what movie was Tony Huston in? He looks familiar. He does a pretty good job of taking over the Lee Van Cleef role, although Lee Van Cleef was pretty decent too. He was in A Bullet for a Pretty Boy, 1970. So, getting back to the movie, Zontar uses these paper mache bird thingies to control people's minds, and he controls the general's mind. The guy who's running the installation, they call it, and he tells the scientists that as communists take over, they're under detainment, control whatever. And eventually the scientists become either killed and or taken over by Zontar with his paper mache birds. So Zontar takes over John Agar's wife with the paper mache bird, and paper mache bird tries to attack John Agar, but for some reason he's able. Hey, what's up? I just saw your chat. For some reason he's able to poke the thing with the fire poker. Instead, I don't know why other people weren't able to attack those paper mache bird things, but like I said, Zontar looks pretty ridiculous, not as bad as the it that conquered the world. But what else? Somebody told me to rewatch. Like, I get so many requests to review stuff. I know you told me to watch those three Vincent Price movies that I've already seen, because I don't remember anything about them. I think we were talking about The Conqueror Worm, Witchfinder General, and Theater of Blood, and The Abominable Dr. Fives, which are my three favorite Vincent Price movies. And this guy asked me to review Earth versus the Flying Saucers, which I've already seen. I used to have it on Laserdisc back probably 30 years ago. And I don't remember any of it other than flying saucers attacking Washington, D.C., which is actually not a bad idea. Yeah, I reviewed It Conquered the World. I loved it as much as I love this one, but for whatever reason, It Conquered the World gets a higher rating on IMDb. I didn't like The Last Man on Earth, but that's just me. I suppose I could look for it if I haven't already reviewed it, but anyways, that's the end of my review. I'm going to check out Earth versus the Flying Saucers now, so I can finally review it, since I didn't get a chance to do that 30 years ago. There was no YouTube or Yahoo movies or anything like that, so I'm going to check it out. Yeah, you should check out the monster in this one, Zontar. It looks like a poop monster with 3 eyeballs and some wings. It's pretty much the same story, though. Just doesn't have Peter Graves and Lee Van Cleef. It's got John Agar and Tony Huston. Anyways, pretty cool flick. Highly recommended. Check it out. I'll post the link to the movie in the description box. I forgot to do that. Sorry. Later.